So do you think there are any, programs or strategies that countries could adapt or, use that would address youth unemployment?
Well, I think there are, of course, a lot of different strategies to use.
Okay.
But if we take Tanzania as an example, then I think here there's a big issue when it comes to, or it's a big issue, but there's a lot of potential when it comes to creating jobs.
Okay.
Like the amount of jobs here. And then it's how do you create programs that allow people to create jobs?
Okay.
What can do that?
Can you explain that?
But for example, like if you can teach someone how to run a business, or if you can teach them how to create a business, or if there are a lot of young minds here that probably have amazing ideas for businesses, but then it's, okay, how do you actually make it profitable? How do you earn money doing that? And learning how to do that, I think, is very useful. And taking it a step further is learning how to then not only create your own job, but create jobs for other people as well. So scaling.
Okay. All right.
So like expanding how do you build a business and expand it and keep growing it.
Growing, okay.
Yes.
All right.
And I think that is a kind of initiative that
can be used.
Yes, in order to actually create jobs.
Yes. Wow. Okay. All right. What a role do you see for technology and innovation in creating job opportunities?
Well, naturally, based on my background, I see lots of opportunity.
Lots.
Yes.
Okay.
Because technology helps makes things accessible, and also in a country, say like Tanzania, where the penetration rate, which is how much you use technology, is still limited in systems and in businesses. Like, for example, at my internship, I've talked a lot about how much I use AI to make my job more efficient and quicker. And a lot of people haven't thought about that here, but now colleagues of mine have started using it more to make their jobs easier and quicker.
So just a quick one. I've seen most people use AI here in Tanzania, but if you follow up really close, there are people who probably they're in tech, or probably they deal with editing, videographers, all these people who deal with the production world. Anybody who's going to be using all those types of devices, you'll find they will be using AI, or maybe accountants as well. I've noticed they've developed various databases that would help assist them, draw up books and all that. But many of us, when you tell us about AI, we're like, I'm not going to give them information. We've seen in movies what AI can do with our information. So we're so worried in that angle. But we do understand. We understand it's going to help, and, it's going to make our job easier. But then we're also worried in that part as well. Like, I mean, is my data going to be safe with this person?
That's, of course, always a concern. And what I usually do is I actually research that. I read up on the different AI tools that I'm using to see if they are going to use my data, how they're going to use it, and if there's an opportunity to opt out. Because there are certain tools where you can actually choose to say, I don't want my searches to be added to the training model.
Yeah.
So all the data that I put in is not being used in any way, and they're not allowed to, because I've said specifically, you're not allowed to use this.
Yeah.
And it's also, you can use it in different ways. When I use it, it's not necessarily that I give it my data. It's, I can also just use it to say, okay, I want to make, I don't know, paper. Please give me some ideas, or how does an outline look? How do I analyze this? Or I use it as a sparring partner. So you can use it for a lot of different purposes.
Then feeding it data that you're also worried about your privacy and stuff like that.
Because also as a company, if like company policy. You have data that is not
Yeah.
allowed to be viewed by the
Very
public.
sensitive, yeah, and confidential, yeah.
But business accounts for these tools secure your data because of this concern. Otherwise, companies in Europe would not allow us to use them.
Yeah, definitely. That makes sense.
We have very strict policies on how we're allowed to use AI in our jobs, but it's still viewed as so important that it's such a large part of the future that companies need to implement it to be competitive. So learning to use those tools and to make your life more efficient, I think is a big opportunity. And also, if you're good at using them, you have an advantage because you can teach other people, but you can also do your job better.
Yeah.
And you can also create businesses easily by using technology and creating digital platforms. Say, if you make a website, you can freelance doing those things, and having those skills means that you also, for your company is going to want a nice web page or need people to be able to do those things if you can.
So guys, please try that out. Don't worry about your data and stuff. Tools like this, that's why she's saying technology can really, really, really play a big role in, eradicating youth unemployment and creating job opportunities for the young people. Na hapo kwenye technology amekwambia pia, if you know how to use particular tools and particular tech that is out there, it's easy for you to teach. I've seen people, do YouTube classes. They teach people and they're being paid for teaching. They do online classes. They just send, there's a master class for maybe, I don't know what I'm looking for a title of topic that they usually put. Maybe content creating, maybe sharing how to write your captions. So things like those, and people make money. So, my friend, don't wait to be employed only. Use technology wisely to get those opportunities and make a living. Freelancing is key. So, Alex, speaking of tech, do you think social media and other digital platforms can be leveraged to create job opportunities as well?
Of course.
And how is that? How can we leverage that?
There are multiple ways of doing that. And of course, one part is PR. Using social media and using the tools available to you if you have a service or a product means that you can cheaply market to a lot of people, which means that it's more likely that people are going to actually buy your service or your product because they're going to know about it. And another thing is also, there are also a lot of opportunities for creating a business based on just viewers as well. It's if you have a website and you have a lot of people who visit that website, and you can check that through statistics that you get. You can get sponsors, you can get paid for people to actually have their advertisement there as well.
On that particular platform,
So there are multiple ways of doing that, and you can also, like you talked about a little bit about connections and network and using social media as an outreach platform of selling yourself to potential companies and also reaching out to them. And if you have a good profile and you reach out to a recruiter online or a company and say, hey, I'm very interested in what you're doing. This is fascinating. This is my background. Can we have a coffee chat and talk about what you do?
Oh my goodness. Coffee chat here. Okay. I mean, I'm saying this. I'm not saying in a bad way. I'm just saying it from an angle that I've met people who would say that why should I struggle? Like, we come back to the point of being ignorant. Like I've started. I'm capable. I have this skill and so, but why should I be the one forcing and forcing? I've applied for the job already. I'm just waiting for the results. There's that. We're becoming, I don't know, maybe I wouldn't say ignorant, maybe arrogant, something like that. But your opinion of saying that you reach out to a recruiter, even if there's no job application postings, you reach out and say, I've seen what your company does. It matches my profile. Can we talk? Can we, have a meeting, like that? That's another way. I mean, that's another angle to put it. So, young people, I hope you're hearing this, and I hope it's adding some stuff, not stuff, I'll call it, vitamin to your head and brain, so that you'll be able to understand. You don't have to wait to see a job posting. You don't have to wait to to see a certain particular company is looking for someone, or a particular office is looking for someone. You can reach out based on your qualifications, based on your skills and experience. You can say, oh, guys, I am capable of doing this. I am capable of doing that. I've done this before. So can we meet and talk, or can we chat? You don't necessarily have to, to get the entire job for an entire year or an employment contract. You might get a consultancy contract. So, I mean, a win is a win, they say. Yeah. So the things like those. And, going back, when you said reaching out to a recruiter, it reminded me of LinkedIn, social media, the different platforms. There's Facebook or Instagram and all that. People use those. But in LinkedIn, I've seen many profiles, they post about their experience, their studies and all that. But also it's like a platform that's used mostly to reach out to a recruitment agency, or to reach out to a person who's a job seeker. So at the end of the day, your suggestion is, I feel that it's quite impactful, because I might apply for a job and not get any response, but I may reach out. Maybe I would see, maybe this is the HR of the company. I would say, I saw your post, or maybe I didn't see your post, but I've seen your company, like if there are any vacancies. And I'm telling you guys, it works. I have a friend who reached out and it worked, because the company said, I've seen your profile, it's really amazing, can you come for an interview tomorrow? So it was just like that, just simple as that. And yeah, we will tend to say it's luck, but no, you have to work for it. You have to prepare your profile in a very standard manner, in a way that people will be able to know who you are via your profile and know what you do, basically. And speaking know who you are, it's not what you like eating. Yes, your skills and all that. Yes, Alex, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's also so important how you say things.
How you say things in that profile.
Because you can have the same experience, but which words you use, how do you describe that? How are you selling it?
Yeah.
Because you can say that you've done a project, but if you just say, oh, I did this project, it was about this. That doesn't sell it.
Yeah.
You have to say more about what impact did the project have? What did you do? What was your key role?
Wow.
And all those things. And
thank you so much, Alex.
No, but and these are things you can learn online.
That's really important. You know why? Because I remember once, I think it was probably 3 years ago, I went to a job interview that I was recommended at. They just called me for an interview. And, the hiring manager was really honest. She just told me, like, Tiki, I see you have a lot of potential here, but your CV, when I look at it, I feel like I'm just going, at a dead end. I need to see your impact. I can see here you've been, you've done a certain particular job, maybe an acquisition of a company. What did you do? What was the impact of you doing that? I need to see that. I just don't want to see, a list of things that you've done, your experience. I need to see the impact. Like, I did a project of Boresha Radio, and it was impactful by saving maybe certain jobs or stuff like that. They need to see what input can you bring to the table. So that's really important. So how are you going to write your CV? How are you going to write your profile? How do you say things? Keynote, guys. We shouldn't complain unemployment, man. We have to prepare ourselves to be able to get into the market, actually, and get the job opportunities that are out there. So, in that order, just I don't know if you're gonna be just free to answer this one, but I'm gonna ask anyway. It states that, what kind of policies or reforms do you believe are necessary to effectively tackle youth unemployment at a global rate?
That is...
What reforms do you think would be necessary?
I don't think you can generalize that. To be very honest.
Yeah.
Because it so depends on the individual country that you're in, and countries have so different situations when it comes to unemployment at the moment. But I think it's just, when you talk about policies, it's I'm going to be boring and say that it's back towards education. That's one aspect of it, and creating or like making sure that you have a solid system in place that gives everyone the opportunity to succeed. But also, I think, speaking from a business perspective, having a good financial system that allocates capital and money in a good way when it comes to funding businesses and making that possible. Because there is capital, but it's how do you get it to the places that are going to make it succeed and make it grow?
Yeah, definitely.
So I think that those are the two aspects of it, and I think improving that as well in this region is so important, because this region has so much potential, and it's also, if you look at the demographics, this region, sub-Saharan Africa, every other person is going to be born in this region in 2050. Which means that this is where people are going to live. This is where people are going to be. There are going to be so many potential bright minds.
When you're speaking of born, now I'm really trying to make me think of a lot of things there. What do you exactly mean?
Like, this is where the population growth here. Every other person.
You're meaning that there are other countries or regions what you're saying, from what you're saying, what I understood is that there are other regions or countries that population is not growing. It's actually decreasing, declining. But you're speaking of sub-Saharan Africa. The population is continually increasing.
It's increasing, and then as a proportion of the global population. This is where the market's going to be. This is where the brains are going to be, and setting this region up for success with education and creating systems where we make it possible to get capital and funds here for projects that are going to create value at return on investment and make them financially sustainable. It's so much potential, and it's so important. So I think specifically those things are
really important.
For the future.
So Habari, for a country or a region, so it's important to to reform your education, but also the finance, but also in terms of giving out efficient and solid education from a younger age. And I'm insisting on this because initially I remember when we were just talking, and I asked you about how does it work in Norway in terms when it comes to education, and you gave me some examples, but also I shared with you about there are some things sometimes, when it comes to, it may be the course somebody's studying here in Tanzania, maybe the course, it may be, somebody doesn't have enough finance or support, to be able to support themselves in terms of accommodation and living expenses. And, there's a lot of things juggled up that will make maybe somebody drop off from university or probably doesn't even want to go. Maybe they just finished high school and like, I don't really want to go. It's not necessary. But you told me something interesting, that somebody must do university in Norway. How is that?
Well, it's not mandatory.
Yeah.
But for a majority of the places in Norway, it's kind of a given. No one really asks you, do you want to go to university? The question is, what do you want to study at university? What kind of a job do you want? What kind of a career do you want? Unless you're doing plumbing and like being an electrician and more those kind of skill-based vocations. But if you don't do that, if you study theoretical high school, it's kind of
given.
Yeah, it's expected.
That you will go to university.
Yes.
Okay. Wow.
At least from my viewpoint.